Good morning, students. Myself Atul Kumar, and I will teach you class 8th history. And in this, we are going to discuss chapter 10, and the name of chapter is India's Struggle for Freedom. So, as you know, British colonial rule brought India under uniform law and a unified administration. As the British established railway, telegram lines, and new roads and canal, and due to which communication among Indian living far apart, Indian who have received Western education could communicate with one another in English. They took a interest in India past and used the press to spread feeling of culture pride and unity among the people. They also they also became aware and critical of British economic exploitation and racial discrimination. So the topics that we will discuss here that are, as you can see in the slide, that is first will be the rise of political association, then birth of Indian National Congress and moderate phase, then extremate phase and partition of Bengal, then last will be the British policy of divide and rule. So we will start with the first one, rise of political association. So you have already maybe studied also that British policies in India caused several revolt among various sections of the people, such as that was landed chief, peasants, and the tribals. So in second half of the 19th century, the educated Indian grow dissatisfied with certain British policies and attitude. So like policy of Lord Lloyd policy. So some policy adopted during Lord Lytton tenure as Viceroy, and he was Viceroy from 1876 to 1880, were particularly unpopular with the educated Indian. So what he done, he just increased taxes in India to meet useless military expenses. In 1877, the maximum age for appearing in the ICS examination was lowered from 21 to 19, making it almost impossible for Indian to enter the service. In 1878, Lytton passed the Army Act to deny India the right to possess weapons and the Vernacular Press Act to stop the Indian press from criticizing British policies. He also raised the duties on Indian cotton goods, thereby lifting the Indian textile industries. Now, the next is the birth of Indian National Congress. So, Alain Octavin, whom he was a retired civil servant, invited educated Indian to form an all India organization to represent the Indian people. So after that, this led to the formation of Indian National Congress, and the Congress held its first session at Bombay on 23 December 1885. So this session was presided over by the Vomis Chandra and was attended by 72 delegates. The Congress-led India Freedom Movement, also called the National Movement, from 1885 to 1947. Now, moderate phase. So how this moderate phase was found, as the movement was divided, this national movement was divided into four main phases. So they were the moderate phase, extremate phase, then the Gandhian phase, and the final phase. So this moderate phase was from 1885 to 1905. So we are going to discuss this first phase. So among the leader of the Congress during the moderate phase, and it was held from 1885 to 1905. So like leaders like Dada Bhai Naroji, Surendranath Banerjee, Firoz Shah Mehta, M.G. Rane. So many were deeply influenced by Western education. This leader has great faith in the British rule. They did not think in the term of self-government, but wanted only to increase the political consciousness and unity of the people. Then next is the demand. What the demand they have kept? So the moderate demanded the inclusion of more Indian in the ICS and in the government bodies. They felt this would reduce administrative cost as European civil servants drew larger salary than Indians. It would also reduce the drain of wealth caused by European civil servants sending their earning out of India. To help more Indian enter administrative service, the moderate wanted the ICSE examination to be held not just in England but also in India. They also wanted the maximum age for writing the examination to be raised. For improvement in India economic condition, the moderate wanted reduction of land and provinces of great protection to cultivator and forest dwellers. Now next is British response. So how the British has given response to this all the things. The British passed the Indian Council Act in 1892. Under pressure from the Congress, the act increased the number of Indian in government bodies, but gave the Indian no powers. The government became very hostile toward the Congress. Government officials were ordered not to officiate with the Congress. Now next is about the extremate phase. So this phase was started in 1905 and came to end in 1980. In the extremate phase, many Congress leaders were angered by the government indifference to the growing economic distress of the people, large scale unemployment among educated India, and scarcity of food. They criticized the moderate method as one of the begging and developed method of mass agitation. Then Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Rajpat Rai, Vipin Chandrapal, and Aribundo Ghosh were noted extremist leader. So in that one person was there, Tilak, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So what was his rule? Tilak organized the masses through religious festivals such as Ganpati festival and celebration in memory of Shivaji and other historical figure. Tilak asserted that Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. Thus, Swaraj, meaning self-rule, became the new goal of the extremist. Next is the partition of the Bengal. Many of the policies of Viceroy Lord Curzon went against the interest of the Indian and angered the extremist Bengal. An important center of national movement was at that time a very large presidency comprising present Bangladesh, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Assam, and some part of Orissa. So, Curzon patronized Bengal in 1905 on the pretext that it was unmanageable for the administrative purpose. So what he done, they separated Assam and Muslim majority of East in East in Bengal that were from Bangladesh from the remaining part of the presidency which has a Hindu majority. This attempt to destroy the unity of Bengalis and an anti-partition movement marked by the process of by singing of Vande Mataram, Hindu and Muslim tied Rakhi on each other wrists to demonstrate brotherhood. Now next is British policy of divine and rule. So the British felt threatened by the unity of Hindu and Muslim during the anti-partition movement in Bengal. So they followed the policy of divide and rule. They spread the belief that the political and economic interests of the Hindu and the Muslims were different. So in that, first was the formation of the Muslim leakage. So in 1906, Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka and some other important Muslim leaders founded the All India Muslim Leakage in Dhaka to protect and promote the political interest of the Muslim in India. The leakage supported the partition of Bengal. It demanded reservation for Muslim in government services. Later on, it also demanded political representation for Muslim through separate electorate. Next is the Morley Minto reform. So the Indian Council Act of 1909, also called the Morley Minto reform, increased the number of elected members in the Legislative Council, but to destroy Hindu-Muslim unity, it introduced a separate electorate for Muslim. Separate Muslim constituencies were set up from which only Muslim could be elected. After that, the national movement during World War I was found and the Congress cooperated with the British war effort. Huge number of Indian soldiers were sent overseas to fight for the British. So student, this much only in this chapter. Thank you students.